Alright, so here we are on a Saturday morning. Can you hear me guys? Yeah, this is got better, right? Alright, can you hear me now? Hello, hello? Yeah? Alright, so basically I'm here to talk about the luxury of restarting over and over and over again. And basically the idea is, I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. I'm Sajid Wajid. I'm Sajid Wajid, and like I was thinking, like how to address myself as, like, should I put myself as an artist or should I put myself as a creative director or a graphic designer? And then I realized I just say I'm Sajid and I'm myself. So I am myself here right now in front of everyone, and that's what it is, and I'm basically going to talk about the luxury of restarting over and over and over again and over again, basically. So, how do we, yeah. So I'll just quickly run you through the kind of work that I've done in the past, and basically I've done like I won't dwell on like a lot of work that I've done because it's a lot of work, and I can like literally talk about it like the entire day. But yeah, so I'll just quickly run you through the kind of stuff that I've done. So bunch of people do this just to show like some amazing portfolio stuff. I painted a basketball court in Dadar right now. Yeah, hello? Yeah. So I painted a basketball court in Dadar with Air Canada. I really like doing album covers because that sort of is the space where the graphic designer and the fine artist meet. And yeah, again, like bunch of paintings that I converted into album covers. Again, album covers. Album cover again. Yeah, like gig posters. Yeah, like calendars, gig posters, murals. Murals again, but with some experimentation with material. Again, murals again, like indoor office murals. Drawings, normally like self-exploration drawings. Murals again, like this I did for Facebook's Gurgaon office. Installations, some random illustrations, some random things like that. Illustrations, more drawings. Yeah. So basically, I wanted to talk about the story, like the story of the frying pan at my studio. So when I'm talking about my frying pan at my studio, it's like a co-working space between like a frying pan and me. And what my frying pan does is basically make omelets for me, rice, dosa, chutney, soup, maggi, biryani, vada, sambar, chutney, and the list goes on. So what I wanted to talk about is basically to draw like a parallel between a frying pan and your head. Like you are this one person with one head, and that one head can really create magic by just multiplying itself in different ways. So today morning you are this person who has come down to this place. Maybe after this talk is done, you'll sort of go into like a different zone altogether, and maybe go to office, or maybe just go home and draw, or maybe just go for a date, or maybe like do whatever you want to do with it. So it's basically trying to understand like your head as a vessel to basically your brain as a vessel that can cook anything and everything. Going ahead is basically like when you talk about your brain as a vessel or your head as a vessel, you can like the way you sort of deal with it is by emptying it and cleaning it and reusing it. That's what I do with my frying pan. Like I use it for cooking rice, and then I empty it, reuse it, like wash it and put it to use for a different purpose altogether. I'm just trying to like have like a parallel between a completely random object at my studio and trying to give you a perspective about my creative direction, how I that sort of helps me explain my philosophy of how I work with my so many different things that I do normally. And so yeah, basically, so the thing is, if you are a person who wants to restart and create new stuff every time and not get stuck with one thing particular, is basically don't label yourself. By labeling yourself, I would put into perspective where people feel that, hey, I'm a graphic designer, or I'm a chef, or maybe I'm a cleaning person, or I am a whatever, So just don't put like labels onto yourself, because most of the time what happens is when you start putting labels to yourself, is you start defining yourself and you start putting yourself in a box. And in a box, in the sense, you start making a product out of yourself. And when I say product, it basically means like you make a frying pan out of yourself, and a frying pan that makes only idlis, So that's not how it works, right? So it basically means like don't put like a tag on yourself by saying, hey, I can do this and I cannot do that, So when you say I'm a graphic designer, I've met so many people who are like, I can't draw, I can like do graphics on computer, and that's what they keep doing, and that just makes them as one unidirectional person who keeps telling themselves that, hey, this is what I am and this is what I do, and I don't really want to explore into a different perspective. So going ahead, I would want you to be is a fucking printer, So when I say be a printer, is basically when I want to put this perspective about just channelizing what's coming within as a command, and just be a medium to create things, and just be that person who is the mediator between the art and what's coming from within, So if say tomorrow my within tells me to cook a donut, So I would want to be able to do that without hesitation. Like I know it won't be the best donut there is, but at least I tried, So that's the perspective is what it is all about, So be the printer and just channelize whatever's coming out of your inner self, and just put it out on a paper or put it out on whatever makes you comfortable. It's basically channelizing who you are and what comes from within. Second thing is be fearless in whatever you are creating. Like normally, and it's the most abused term also, like when everyone you would go to be like, be fearless, be fearless, be fearless. But when I'm talking about being fearless, is basically make like you are making it as you are the first and the last person on the planet, Like a lot of people don't really make a lot of things because they think it's already done, or they sometimes feel like what's the future in it, So what happens is in that conflict in your head, you don't do anything, You're like, maybe like you would want to write stories about say love, and so many people have already written about love in so many better ways. But the idea is to not really think about them or who's done the things better than you. Or also sometimes a lot of people don't do things thinking of what's the future in it. Like say, I would want to start a restoration garage, and I spoke to a bunch of people who are like, listen, I want to start a restoration garage, and they're like, dude, like now everyone's coming, like the companies are coming up with their amazing bikes, and why would people go to you to make bikes from you, and you're not even like an established bike maker. That just stops me from doing anything, like I just never gave it a thought. I was like, dude, there's no future, I shouldn't invest in it. But had I started it, I would have rode my bike, which was built by me, So again, like put in perspective to whatever you are doing in your life, you just make things well. Just don't think of like, give it like perspectives about, hey, it's been done, everyone's doing it, or like it's an age thing. Just do it and just feel amazing about it at the same time. To basically do that also, just like again, it's more like a meditative process. And while I'm talking about meditative process, it's basically meditating on anything and everything that's in front of you. You know, like if you're making a coffee today, just concentrate a little bit on making coffee, and the coffee would taste much better than you not concentrating on it. You know. So basically what I'm trying to come to is there is this entire world of inspiration within yourself. And when I'm talking about within yourself, there is this dichotomy between things, which is basically the entire space that's outside. At the same time, there is this entire space that's within you. So a lot of people aspire to become astronauts and go outside. You can sit down in one corner and be an internaut and just go within yourself and explore the space that's in you. You know. So yeah, basically that. And so to just give you like an understanding of how I sort of feel people who don't reinvent themselves. So there is this curve of like things that go up have to come down. Like as we all know that that's the law of nature. To certain kind of like feedback like immediately, and you would start believing that that's like something that you want to do, and that's something that comes naturally to you, and you keep doing it. Like a very weird example would be I make rubber ducks. You know, so I keep making rubber ducks, a pink rubber duck, a brown rubber duck, a green rubber duck, and I keep doing it, and people are loving it. You know. And at one point in time, what's gonna happen is like people are going to be like, enough of these rubber ducks, man, you know. But I spent so much time doing that, I really can't shift my focus from making them, you know. Then my arch is always going to come down, and that's okay. It's not like a bad thing. But if you really are somebody who wants to like be relevant or just wants to be a person who keeps reinventing themselves, there is a different kind of chart that is sort of a trajectory or sort of to talk about people who reinvent themselves is basically when you are like making art, okay, like you're drawing. So you would want to explore more and develop that craft a little bit further. So basically what happens is you keep developing it to a point where it's on a peak. And then you understand that it's not something that you want to dwell on, you know. Dwelling is something that just keeps you becoming stagnant, you know. Like if you want to really reinvent yourself, be like a river, like, you know, just keep flowing, don't really stop at one point. So this trajectory is again the same thing. So basically I start with say art and I start doing it, I become amazing. This is again like in your head, it's like there is no fixed parameters to it. But you understand, like I know a lot of people who would do something and be like, hey, I've become really good at it, you know. So they become really good at it, and what one should do is basically this point is enough for you to like, you know, restart something completely different. So you become a photographer, you know, and start digging that art or that aspect of making art. Then for you, those challenges become more of a learning curve, and you start becoming a better photographer by day. And then you start building and going to, you become the best photographer there is. Then what do? You change. You become a chef, you know. And that's a different story for you altogether. Then you start from a grassroots level and you keep digging and keep becoming like a new person and a new. You would start like, you know, if you're an artist, you know, you have these kind of tools which are like pens and like brushes stuff like that, then you start like change, and then you start accumulating lens. You become a photographer. You start like tripping on lenses. You start like, okay, yeah, lenses are there now. I'll start doing this. You start like really understanding the craft a little more. So basically that, and then that curve just goes on and on and on and on. So yeah, that's about it. And basically, if you really want to reinvent yourself, just restart, reinvent yourself, and don't really bother too much about like what people are going to say. And like there is this term that people don't exist if you really think about them. Like nobody really cares what you are doing until you're like giving like some percentage of your brain thinking what are others going to think about. Just feel free to like just leave out something where you don't really feel like, okay, I'm done with it, I'll probably move on to different things. You as a person should like when say for example if I give you a candle, you know, like there's a possibility of the candle being lit from one angle, but there's also a possibility of it being lit from the other angle. So why don't you light the candle from both the angles and let there be more light. So basically that, and enjoy the luxury of restarting over and over and over again. Yeah, that's my time. Yeah. So, a very good question actually. And basically, there is a huge parallel, or it's almost the same thing. It's basically when you think about visual, or when you think about any other art form, there are a couple of things that are very common. You know, like there is composition, there is rhythm, there is balance. You know, so take any form of art. You know, like take say for example like interior design and look around this entire place. This place is beautiful because of certain things, because of the way it's been designed. It's like the balance is mental. Like the chandeliers make that balance happen. You know, the light is also well balanced. There is a sense of composition when you walk in. You know, and it's the same with music. Like music goes from one point to a second to the end point, but in between that there are these compositions. There are these like interesting turns and curves and some really intricate parts in between. Something that sort of takes your idea but puts it in a much beautiful way. So Tool as a band did that really well for me because they sort of are a band that sort of is talking about going inwards and it's more like a psychedelic space and I really like and like take that space where it's more abstract also and every time I hear it it's completely new. So yeah, I mean music, art and dance and anything else in that perspective is fairly the same thing, you know. It's just like a different way of looking at things. And if you understand that simple logic, you can create anything, like be it fashion. Everyone's talking the same thing. It's not like any different. It's the same, like makeup people are doing the same thing as fashion, as graphic designers, as musicians. So you just have to understand it's basically one line where it's just branched out into different things. So yeah.
Anyone else?
What motivates you to create every day?
Yeah. Yeah, so what motivates me is again like the process of me, it's more like it's not a motivation to draw or like to create something. It's more like an inquiry. Like I want to like be that, I'm that curious person, you know, like I have a cat and if I just keep the door open, it just goes out of my room and keeps like, wandering around. And when I look at it, it's like a perspective for who I am as a person also, you know. Like it's more like an inquiry. Like I'm very curious about, like say, a pen, you know. So I would get a pen and I'd be curious of what it can do to create something completely new, you know. Like it's just that, like, I'm really interested in knowing and understanding the upper limits of one aspect, you know. Like if it's photography, I wanna really dig deeper and understand what is the maximum amount of like output I can get out of one thing. So that's something that I want to like, keep doing and like I've gotten like a pen, which is a road ring. So I want to keep like, drawing with the road ring to a point where I know like what all I can do with it, and it's just a personal inquiry, and that keeps me motivated. Like, if I'm done with it, I'll probably switch to a brush, and I'll keep doing that brush stroke thing where you were talking about. It's a brush that I've sort of got in my studio. So I just keep digging like that brush now, like what all I can do with the brush. So it's just that keeps me motivated and keeps me like interested and like keeps me drawing or creating. So,
Could you please say the question again because we
Yeah.
can understand what she.
So what she was saying is basically, sorry.
Create this sense of
Yeah.
self.
Yeah, so how do you create, like, how do you get rid of the block, that the mental block or the creative block that you call? And I think that's more or less the question, right? I think, and how do you keep creating? So basically, the answer to that is like it's very like personal. Like when you say you have a creative block, you know, so you have to understand simple thing is basically when you tell something to someone is the same thing you tell yourself first, you know. Like if I have to tell you a story, I have to know that story myself, you know. So when I'm telling somebody that hey, I have a creative block, you know, so I've told myself enough that I have that creative block, and that is the block, you know. Like if you start telling yourself that hey, I've got creative block, it's just a mental thing. Like you all agree that it's a mental thing. Like to break away from it is basically just create, you know. Don't really, there's a lot of people again, like while I was talking about reinventing yourself, the problem is a lot of people have prejudice and a lot of judgment around what they are making. And that judgment comes with comparing yourself to anyone else, better or bad or good or anything else. But when I'm talking about like create as you are the first and the last person there is, then that block goes away, you know. Like imagine you stuck on an island, you know, and the desire for you to get away from that island should be the same desire for you to create. It's basically like say I am a person who knows only to cook, like only to basically do one thing is to cook rice, you know. So the second day is if I get rice on that island, I'll cook rice, you know. The second day I'll be like, you know, enough of this rice. I don't want to eat it, and like I won't starve myself, you know. I'd be like, okay, I can't starve myself. I'll have to make this rice again and again and again and again and again, to the point that you start developing a different taste in rice. You know, it's a very weird thing, but like even if you have a creative block and you know to draw Mickey Mouse, you know, as simple as that. Just draw Mickey Mouse for like 7 days. The seventh Mickey Mouse that you've drawn on the 7th day would be a different Mickey Mouse than the first one. You know, and you'll understand that progression. And that progression is the trajectory that you take from that angle. Completely deviate yourself from that block. Like, don't tell yourself you have a creative block. Like, tell yourself that it's not a day for me to like create something. But it's again like, just make it like a second nature to create something. Like, I don't know how many people have seen Dragon Ball Z. So, like, there is this thing where they go into this chamber, which basically is, like in the real world it's 1 second. In that chamber it's like 1 year. So they go in and practice to become Super Saiyans. So basically the idea is to go in and practice yourself so much that becoming Super Saiyan is second nature. Then just create that thing for yourself also. Like if you want to be called as a creative person, then becoming creative or creating or talking or doing anything or creating music or taking photographs should be your second nature. So it's just that. Just don't tell yourself like these things where just like it's a mental thing.
One question. Is there
No, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. When you switch from projects to projects, say whether it is a mural or a cover or a poster, are you able to, do you do a mental switch within the medium and understanding how to deliver that, and then do you work with those kind of timeline, or is that something, say if there is a time crunch and timelines demand that the delivery of the 3 different mediums are happening at the same time, then how do you tackle that?
Yeah, so a good one. So basically, when when you are in that creative space and you have to switch styles for like a different project. So just when I'm talking about like going inwards, is go inwards and create these rooms for yourself in your brain. And these rooms are nothing but like a room full of crayons, a room full of just ink, a room full of just graphic, you know. So it's much easier for you to channelize yourself through doing that, you know. So like say for example, and like the thing, it's crazy. The thing is, like if you start really enjoying your work, you start like finding doors inside those rooms, you know. Like say you do a branding project and you're a painter, you know. Just tell yourself that hey, I want to create this brand. And I really like painting, so you take that approach of painting and put it in branding as a medium, you know. Then while you're doing that, you will find ways for you to channelize the painter within you to help the brand like have more value as your creation. So basically, when you switch styles, it's basically trying understanding that this room is for this and this room is for that, this room is for this. So it's basically that. I don't know if I've made myself clear on this. It's just like a little more abstract a little bit, or yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else has a question?
I mean, guys, it's okay if it's not such.
Actually, I'm going to ask some more questions. I'm not asking any since we're all here.
Yeah.
Is there a tool that you recently discovered, say maybe 1,000 rupees or less, that you feel has helped you develop a certain technique and master it? Can you give us the name of that tool or?
Yeah. So, like I said, when I start tripping on one tool, like basically like understanding what the tool can do the most, you know. And the answer is when you start exploring that, and it's very simple, like you know, like sometimes like I've got this blue pen, which is a rotary, okay, or a bow pen, which basically just it's a very simple pen, and a rotary would cost you 800 rupees, you know. But that trajectory to happen is basically I got on a micron earlier. So I started drawing with microns, and in that inquiry of drawing with line, I was trying to dig deeper and understand what are better tools to do the same thing on a better thing with a better equipment. So I switched from a micron to a rotary, and I understood that rotaries can deliver way amazing results. So I was really like, you know, hey, this is really cool, like that, you know, in that space. And rotary is for, like micron is for 100 rupees and a rotary is for 800 rupees. So I was ready to invest in that just to get into that inquiry, you know. But does that inquiry stop there? No. So I always get to these stationery shops and pick random things and just bring them home and just start like, you know, drawing with them. So I got this 10 rupee quill, whose result is exactly the same. And that trajectory to happen to understand that like your work can be done on a 10 rupee pen or a 800 rupee pen or a 100 rupee pen is the same. Like it's just an inquiry. So it also changes the way you sort of look at certain things, you know. So it's just that.